everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the How We Got Here Genealogy Happy Hour. Today we're going to be talking about DNA. So we're going to be doing a few interesting things on the live stream. We're going to be talking about what you can expect when doing a DNA test. I'm actually going to start a new DNA test myself, and I'm going to give you just show you the process. We're going to talk about ethnicity matches, which is one of the reasons that a lot of people take DNA tests. We're also going to talk about making the most and other resources that are available. As always, feel free to comment in the chat, and we'll have a Q&A afterwards. You can ask your questions during the chat. And how's it going, Burning Element? Nice to see you here. Going to use 23andMe on your next test. Great. So again, I just want to welcome everybody, and we are streaming both on Facebook and on YouTube tonight. You'll see there's in the description of the video, there is a link to a questionnaire to fill out. If you could do this, that'd be great, because it's my way of trying to find out what type of topics you'd like to cover in these live streams, any potential guests that you might want to see, or if you yourself would like to be a guest at some point. Stick around to the end of this live stream. Right afterwards, we're going to have a premiere of my latest video. And so let's sort of get into it. And yeah, just place your questions in the chat. I'll try to pick them up. Might not see them right away, but I will get to them. Just wanted to show you guys what it's like in the wonderful world of Prince Edward Island, where I am today. Just 1 second here. So where I'm at today, I'm just going to switch one of my cameras here for a second, and just the current view outside my window. It's currently 8:35 p.m. in Prince Edward Island, and it is rainy and cold. It's been overcast all day. Just started raining about the last 45 minutes. It was actually raining quite hard there for a while. I was a little scared I was going to lose my power. So let's just switch back to here. And so let's get to it. Let's start talking about your tests. And so what can you expect if you've taken a DNA test? If you've taken one, or watched other people on videos, there's generally two types of tests that people take. There's a saliva one, and there's a cheek scraping one. That's the big difference in the actual taking of the test. As I said, in a few minutes, I'm going to actually take a new test myself. One I just got recently. I recommend, if you're ever purchasing a test, look around major holidays. Mother's Day, there's often a good discount. Sometimes these tests can be discounted, close to 50. I've even seen upwards of 70%. Most of them are around $100, maybe just a little bit over, by using these periods when there's usually around, like I said, holidays. You'll see that you'll get some quite big discounts. Mother's Day is a big one. I can't remember Father's Day. They usually have them. Christmas, Black Friday. There's a few different times during the year just to keep an eye on them. And as always, you can always find, if you're looking to purchase one, you can use one of the links in my description. Most of my videos should have a link to DNA tests for purchase. Be aware that those are ones that I am an affiliate for through Amazon, and that I do make a little bit. If you happen to choose that would be great. I would appreciate it. But sometimes the sales you can get on from the companies themselves, and that's really the way I would go. Okay, as I thought. Okay, so I was working on these on this live cast, and so what to expect when you're doing it. Like I said, you can expect that when you do this, you order, usually the experience from all the ones I've gotten, usually get it within a week to take the tests and ship it. Usually most places it ships within a few days. I've taken these two tests up here. I've used Ancestry, I've used MyHeritage, and today I'm going to be taking the family tree DNA. There's a couple different types of tests. The most common ones are ones most people are looking for, and it should serve most purposes. There's a few times when you might want to use with family tree DNA. You can do a Y or a mitochondrial DNA. The Y DNA test basically tests, if you're a male, you can use that one, and it tests your father's line, and I like to call it the surname line. So it would go your father, your father's father, your father's father's father, and so forth. The mitochondrial one, anybody can do. Males do inherit that DNA, but they cannot pass along. So how it would work, it would work from you, whether you're male or female, to your mother, to your mother's mother. So it's basically the equivalent of the mother or maternal line. So these are really great if you're trying to dig in deep and you're having some pitfalls. But most things that people use for in genealogy, you can probably get away with using one of the normal DNA tests, like I said, which usually run about $100 cheaper if you get them on one of the sales I mentioned. Okay, so I'm going to start actually right away taking this test. When you get these tests, in my experience, they're very similar. There's, as far as aesthetics, I really like the MyHeritage. They have a nice packaging. Most of them have instructions. These are really important to read. They have a few things. Most of them have a spot where you record the kit number and your name. This is important if you're doing more than one person in your family, especially if you're doing them at once, or just for your records to keep so you know whose kit's whose. And then it usually has some important instructions, as well as this really quick guide. Now, this one says, do not eat, drink, or chew gum for 16 minutes prior to swabbing your cheek. This one is a cheek swab. The MyHeritage is a cheek swab, and Ancestry.com is a spittle tube. They all get the same information. It's just how they get that DNA. It's really, I really like the cheek swab, at least for showing it on the screen. It can be, that's not the most pleasant thing, watching somebody spit. Usually come with a return envelope. This one you have to pay. MyHeritage, you had to pay. Ancestry came prepaid. So it has other things like a DNA processing consent form. Has all kinds of different things on here. It's different for different ones. Most of them give you the option to opt out. So as far as you're sharing with police, honestly, that's a personal preference. I have no problem. I'm not out committing crimes, and if they happen to use my DNA to catch a family member that had committed a crime, and they're able to use that to track it down. All the better. If you're doing a crime that DNA is involved, then probably not. Probably not the greatest choice in the world. So, and they're investigating your potential. I'm not worried. Some people are and they're concerned, so that's really important. Make sure you look at that. You fill it out. Usually, also sometimes when you put the application online and you register your kid, you have that option as well. And all of them have a way for you to opt out and actually not share your DNA with anybody. This, for genealogical purposes, is not really the best ideal, because that way you won't actually get your cousin matches and they won't find you, which is, for a genealogist, is the best part of doing these DNA tests. So I'm going to follow the instructions. Like I said, they're right here. They're pretty simple. The first one is to place the unopened swabs. So you get these two swabs. You get two of them, and you get, in this case, you get two vials. So what do you do with this? You have swab 1 and you have swab 2. So it says, place the unopened swabs and vials on a clean surface. I cleaned off my desk right before this, and of course that would happen. So I have these here, these little vials, and they're on my desk. And I don't know if you can hear that. As I mentioned earlier, let's look at the rain. It's picked up a little. You can see it through my window. If you were around last week at the beginning of the happy hour, you noticed, I started out with a drink, and that's my intention. This is supposed to be a happy hour. Encourage you, if you have a drink, whether it's tea, coffee, whiskey, beer, whatever your drink of choice is, have a sip, join the discussion, and so let's get back to it. Yeah, it is kind of foggy right now. Don't know if people know where Prince Edward Island is. I'm on the east coast of Canada, and little island in the Northumberland Strait. Basically, if you know Canada, the U.S., you might be familiar with the St. Lawrence River or the St. Lawrence Seaway, which goes through, that connects basically the Atlantic Ocean to the Great Lakes. So it's a river, it's a seaway at the Gulf of St. Lawrence, and in between where I am, basically a little north of New Brunswick, close to the in the Gulf of St. Lawrence, and so it's a little tiny island. Yeah, you can see the reflection there off my window of my camera, my lights, and a few other things. So let's just switch this back now. So, so we have our vials here, and so we have the two swabs. So it wants me to open one vial and insert the swab. Oh, actually, sorry. The first thing I need to do is I need to remove swab 1. These aren't numbered, so I don't think it matters which one I choose as 1, which one I choose as 2, same as the vials. Vials, they are just numbered the exact same. Oh, anyways, I was saying I usually would start with a drink, but last minute, we have a friend that was coming in from South Africa. They were supposed to be flying through Montreal and then through Moncton and coming in earlier this afternoon. They're now not coming in till later. There was some mix-up with their connections, so I'm going to be coming directly to PEI, so I'm going to be heading out shortly after this and the premiere of my new video to actually go and pick them up. So, always drink responsibly, never drink and drive, and never have, never will. So you have this, and what it wants you to do is take this from this package, and you're going to scrape the inside of one cheek and rotating the swab for 45 seconds. So I'm going to try this, and I had no luck earlier when I was trying to run this video. So I'm not sure if you saw this at the beginning, if the video came up for you. And let's just see here. So I'm going to try this again, see if this works. I'm going to use this as my timer. So this one I'm doing my left cheek. She said, much more pleasant than strip cut. So once you have that and you've got it good and around, you take this one, once you open here, and you're going to take this, and it has to go, you're insert the swab, tip down, align the black line on the swab with the edge of the vial that's up there, and you just simply snap it off. So you put the lid on, with the remaining part stays in the vial, and then you repeat. Not very exciting, but this does collect enough enough DNA that they can give you your matches, delve into your ethnicity. Okay. So again, you do the second cheek. So this time, I was previous with my left cheek, so we're going to do my right cheek now. We're going to do 45. I'll set it on my phone. Yeah, not most pleasant thing in the world, but love better than splitting. So, you want to know which company this is? This is Family Tree DNA. There goes my timer. So we're going to stop that. And again, likewise, do the same thing with the second vial. Put it in. Notice the little black line. I don't know if you can see that on the stick, you see there's a black line. It's right at the top there, and it just snaps off. Really great. Liquid is just basically, I believe it's just something that kind of stabilizes it. This is the same in all of them. Oh yeah, the vials, and you have the spit ones, they're quite large. They're about, I want to say, 2 to 3 times larger than this, at least what it appears. So you put this in here, and you seal it up, you fill out the information on your envelope, and you'll mail it. Since I have to postages, I'll be actually heading out to the post office Monday morning, first thing, putting it in the post office, and we'll see how long it takes to get there. So in this one here, again, it wants me to make sure I include the green consent form that they had. I sign it, and I put that in there with it. So I'll be doing that, getting that mailed off. So that there is pretty much a normal test. One of the reasons I wanted to do this on the live is also just to give you guys a time frame of how long it actually takes to get the results back. Now, on this one here, it says basically you go and you register online, and you'll get your information. I can't remember what they said the date was. Let me just see here, the time frame. I have to look at that again. Follow instructions, yeah, and it doesn't actually tell you the time frame. It takes, like I said, about a week for them to get it, in the most part. This one here is going to Houston, Texas, so yeah, they should get it within a week. Probably cost me about $7 Canadian to mail out. So I'm going to take this test and I'm going to put it up with here. Again, I'm going to show you the other 2 tests. I don't have full ones here, but just very similar things. Like I said, the packaging on the My Heritage, I really liked it. It's just kind of a neat way of packaging. Ancestry's, again, it's just the larger box. You have a larger vial to fill with spit. So what happens when you just 1 second here. So what happens when you get that back is you're going to get some results. And there's a lot of things that you can use. The results, if you've watched videos on YouTube, I've made some myself specifically about this, you'll see you're going to get ethnicity estimates. So I'm going to show you sort of what I have. Just 1 second here. So I'm going to show you what I have as far as my two tests. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to, for 1 second, stop my camera, make sure it's set up right to go with my other. There we go. So I'm just what I'm doing here is I'm just setting my camera up so it has the proper, my screen's sharing. I apologize, so that it's sharing those things in the right portion. I apologize, I didn't have this set up before. So here is the information from My Heritage. You'll get a lot of different things. You'll get ethnicity results. That's what a lot of people, they look at. That's what they're interested in. And so I'm going to point out some things, because this is actually a big concern when people do these tests because they don't understand sort of I don't want to say the science behind it, but the methods behind them gathering the information. You'll notice here I have 78.7% Irish, Scottish, and Welsh. Now that there is, I expected when I first did a DNA test, this was the first one, I'd have about 80% Scottish and Irish, because I know my family history is from what I can trace back to when they arrived in Canada. It was either from Ireland on my dad's side completely, except for one ancestor I know is from Ireland, and I have everything except the proof. I do have on a record of their son, it says their father was born in Ireland. I don't have a name, and so I don't have the actual proof of the father, but I'm pretty sure that is. But with the rest of my father's family, they're all from Ireland, from when they arrived in Canada originally. Most of them arrived in Nova Scotia, and one branch arrived in Newfoundland and then came to later to Nova Scotia. So I was, and my mom's family, I can trace all from Scotland to all the ancestors that arrived in Canada. So I was expecting, you'd think that'd be 50-50, but I was expecting realistically about 80% in total, just because I wasn't confident on what they would be afterwards. So this 78.7 number didn't really surprise me. This surprised me, the Balkan, the other two ethnicities. So if I go and I get my ethnicity estimates, that's just the overview, it breaks it down. Now all the sites sort of also break down, besides the main overview of the region, they sort of show you some subgroups, communities, some places call them, and they will tell you where people with those same matches where they're currently living. So you'll see there's some that Newfoundland, and again I expect that, and there's UK and Ireland group, there's a Massachusetts group, New England, so Newfoundland and USA Massachusetts. Here we go. So if I click on that one, it should show more. It shows that group sort of where they are. You'll even see, though it's called that, there's people in Western Canada, and there's even people there. So it's all different groups, and you'll see this is the UK and Ireland group. If I go to where they are, they're throughout North America. If I look down, you'd see them in Australia as well, and New Zealand. So it defaults to my Irish, Scottish, Welsh group. Again, my heritage didn't break it down further than Irish, Scottish, and Welsh, other than some of the communities. I had this Balkan, which 10%. Now, the Balkan area it describes it as basically, if you don't know the Balkans, it's area, former Yugoslavia, former Eastern European. They were part of the Soviet Union or Eastern European states, communist countries at one point. This I found really interesting. Interesting thing is when I actually do my look at my matches, I can see that the people that are there. Hi, Ruth. Welcome to the happy hour. Yeah, the best and most accurate. That's really, again, with the ethnicities, you're going to find they are and they aren't. And I'll explain that actually in a minute when I get the ancestry. So this one here, it gave me some Balkan, which again I was not expecting, and I also had Finnish, which, knowing history, actually Finnish did not surprise me if you had Balkan, because Balkans include Hungary, and Hungary and Finnish are actually very similar language types, because they're Finland is not a Scandinavian country. It's not same ethnic population as Russia. That sort of the bordering area of Russia, the Finnish Russians, they would obviously be the same heritage, but it's actually part of their language group is people from Hungary would understand Finnish more than probably a non-bilingual person from Sweden or Norway or Denmark who did not speak Finnish. Their language has less in common. Just like a person that speaks French has a better chance of understanding basic Italian or Spanish, because they're both Romance. They're all three of them are Romance language. There's some similarities. Might not be fluent, but be able to pick up words. So that wasn't a surprise necessarily once the Balkans showed up. And there's Greek and South Italian. Now, what I did expect to find, just because of the history, I did expect to find, like I said, maybe, I would have been happy with 80% Scottish and Irish. I was expecting some Scandinavian, some English, possibly some Germanic or French, just because of settlement and the way cultures and people travel. The other ones is here is Ancestry. Now, Ruth, like you said, you found that it was the most accurate. It's not really an accuracy thing, because they each use different methods and different control groups. I find a lot of people that are Ancestry is used more prominently by people in North America. That and 23andMe. My heritage is a lot of Europeans use it. For example, my wife, who we know that her mother's parents were both from Finland, that would make my wife should be 25% Finnish. She shows 24.9, which pretty much 25. But the number of matches she gets from people that actually are in Finland, she's to the point now, based on what the population of Finland is and the number or percentage of people that take DNA tests, because she's into, I think out of her 16,000 matches, 11 to 12,000 last time we checked were from Finland. Not just Finnish origin, but still living in Finland. We joke that if she got off a plane in Finland, she's probably pretty accurate to be able to say, "Hi, cousin." So accuracy, it all depends. Like I said, I traced my family back to Ireland and Scotland, where before they came to Canada. When I did originally my DNA results with Ancestry, I was getting basically a population of, I believe the first test was 56, I think it was like 48% Irish, 52% Scottish. Then it actually took a big leap. It went 58% Scottish, 42% Irish. And the most recent update, they changed it again. My Ireland is at 48% again. Scotland's down to 43, and I have England and Northwestern Europe up to 52%. 9%. So it's back to sort of close to what it was, except with Scotland, you also have England and Northwestern Europe, which is actually, like I said, a group I kind of expected that you would find in there. The reason they changed is because their data changes. They're getting more samples from more people that are ethnically, that there's more matches in the DNA that show people that would be have strong English matches. Each of these companies have a white paper where they have some information that you can get that sort of get details. My heritage isn't as accessible, but sort of tells you how they get their populations. Like I said, the My Heritage is really good on Western European. It's really good if you have any Jewish ancestry. It can break it down pretty good to the different types of Ashkenazi Jew or Sephardic Judaism. So it will break it down with that as well. Yeah, it comes down to a recombination. That's part of it. And it also it changes. The reason why mine is so different in my heritage is because their pool, they're using a different group of people, which is, I'm actually really happy, and something I found out, there's actually an Irish connection to the Balkans. Found out one of I'm really into Celtic music. Got into kind of Celtic rock, or traditional Celtic music played with a rock tune or something kind of a punkish tune. Recently found this group called the Orthodox Celts. They are from Serbia, and I kept seeing on their YouTube page and people commenting about the Serbian-Irish connection, which I hadn't really explored before, and so I started looking into it a little more. And there's definitely a connection there through time that a lot of people are aware of. So anyways, with that, the great thing with the DNA tests with MyHeritage, you can upload actually the data from other sites. So I actually took my data here, and this is my Ancestry data. So, and this sort of proves the point that it's not that it's more accurate or less accurate, it's just that it's getting different information. And even the SNPs that they take can be different, or on the particular day when I took one test over the other, there was more, because it doesn't always get all your pieces. There might have been more of one piece or the other than had a match. But you'll see this is my Ancestry test done on MyHeritage. Shows 82% Scottish and Welsh, so it's up a little. I still have the Balkan, I still have this Finnish, and I have the Greek and the Southern Italian, just like I did with the original one there. So it has to do not with the DNA, not with my actual DNA sample I sent in, but their sample of their populations and where they're getting their information. So to say one's more accurate than the other, it's hard to say because I can test all my family going back to a certain point, but I don't know. I don't know all the details when I get to that point where their parents, their grandparents, etc., came from. I know people that that came from Scotland, and I've traced them back as far as living in Scotland, but I haven't gotten their original birth. So that can slip in there sometimes. And again, it could also be that there's why I started getting English and Northern European. There was people that were from Scotland, had Scottish ancestry, and actually moved to those other places, and then they started identifying in their polls that there was not polls, but their pools, they had groups of people that had English heritage, or Northwestern European. Or it could just be that it is so vague also sometimes that it's groups that are all there. So you had your 102 tests. Yeah, that's great if they're the roof. So yeah, if you can get that information, it's really good. One thing with a lot of the German areas, even a lot of the Northwestern European, it's really hard. A couple reasons is when you go back to a certain age, countries didn't exist. Germany is relatively, didn't exist really until just before the beginning of the 20th century. There was Prussian states. There was, it was very different. Parts of France were considered Germany at certain points. And vice versa went back. So and also people were migratory. You have people that, for instance, lived in Switzerland. You have a good mix of German and French, and even Italian people there. So people had lived in Switzerland for years. What is their heritage going to show, and where is it going to match up? And you have a lot of these people that were very transient. So yeah, searching family names is important, but that's not it. It's actually searching more than names. Because you searched a family name doesn't mean that's your family. For instance, my wife's family that is Finnish, their name is Johnson. That's not wasn't their name in Finland. That was their name in North America when they came here. So if I searched Johnson, it has actually nothing to do with their family. It's not even Johansson, because again, it's not Germanic. It's Finnish. So searching family names will get you so far. The really important thing comes to the data and to making those connections. One of the things which Ancestry has that I really like, that MyHeritage has that I really like, is when I'm looking at my DNA matches. I don't really want to show you people on TV on the screen, but this is a known relative. He passed away a few years ago, but I can actually filter mine, and I can filter for people who match with the certain ethnicities. So that's really good. And when I actually did that, when I looked for people that matched with my Balkan, I noticed a lot of Scottish and Irish surnames. So there's some connection there. I also did notice some very distinctive Eastern European names as well, and Balkan names, surnames. But there is that connection there where it came from. I believe it's been over the years. It can happen. But really, when you start looking at these matches and finding out where they're from, that's really, that's as a genealogist, that's more important than the ethnicities. The ethnicities are honestly just just estimates. I really don't even like calling them ethnicities. I prefer to actually call them origin estimates. They're the estimates of where your DNA matches. You can actually do some really neat things. There's a couple sites out there that will match your DNA to DNA found on artifacts. True Ancestry is one of them. They will actually take DNA that's matched from archaeological sites, and they can see what matches you might have to a Viking population or Greek population or Egyptian. It's kind of neat. Again, the practical purpose, if you look at the way migration goes, people are going to have at some point some connection to all those people. So a couple other things that you can do with the DNA besides, you can upload your if you have a MyHeritage, even if you have a free MyHeritage account, you can upload the DNA to from Ancestry or 23andMe to MyHeritage. Why would you want to do that, you might ask? It's really really good because it will give you more possible family matches. Yeah, that's right. They can tell you who you're related to, but not always genealogically. That's as far as the estimates, the actual matches. Yeah, when you get those family matches, you do, because you have to look at how close they are, and if you get a certain amount, you can find the connection. Ancestry has something called through lines where you can actually go and search. The MyHeritage has its sort of own version. It's called the theory of relativity. It will take your family tree and it will match it. So actually, I'll just show you this one here. If I clicked on him and I did the view theory, what it will do is it will trace it down. It will see what he has is loaded as his family tree, what I have as mine, and figure out where that match is. In this case, his mother was my grandmother's sister. So the other thing you can do is you can upload your data to GenMatch. Again, this gives you an opportunity to get more matches for cousins and be able to explore more family trees. This is really good for making those connections. We often tend to do when we look at genealogy. A lot of us are just concentrated on our own family line. We don't really care about our uncles. We don't really care about our cousins as much. But when you're using these other tools, there really is an advantage, because, for instance, you might be stuck at finding who your, let's say, fourth great grandfather is. You can't find the records. You find a match that's your cousin. They might actually have a family tree done out, because maybe your fourth great grandfather winds up, or your third great grandfather is a brother, or of their second great grandmother, fourth great grandmother, or grandfather, or whatever, and they might actually have researched and found that information beyond it. So it's really, that's where it can be helpful as a genealogist, and it helps you broaden your mind and actually start looking not just for that straight line, but looking at those lateral branches too, those cousin branches. Okay, so we're getting close to the 18-minute past, and I'd like to do sort of just a general question and answer. Other things too, if you get these GenMatch, there's a lot of groups. I'm just going to show you this one here on Facebook. This is an example of one of several I belong to, specifically for different family groups or different origin groups. I belong to one. I know I have my fourth great grandfather, he came from Tyree and Cole. And there are two islands in the Western Hebrides, and they actually have a specific people for DNA matching there. And my hope is there that I will be able to find some people that might have some records that will get me farther back. Right now, with him, I can get back to his grandfather, but no farther. No farther. Okay, so we're going to do, when you're able to connect with those people, you can make those great exchanges. So I'm going to just queue up something, and I'm going to go back to my main camera here. And so now the last 15 minutes of my happy hour, I like to sort of make an open Q&A. This can be about DNA, the topic we discuss in any evening, or just anything else. So if you have any questions, just going to get you to post them there in the chat, and so let's go to the comments here and see what questions you have. So Ruth, I was talking about why DNA at the beginning. I haven't done it myself yet. Part of it is I actually have my uncle, my father's side. My father passed away a couple of years ago, but I have my uncle. He's done it, so I have a pretty. I don't need to do it myself because I'm not going to get anything different. I haven't done my mitochondrial DNA yet, so I haven't done my maternal line. As I like to say, I call my Y-DNA sort of your surname line. So I haven't done my mother's line, and actually I should, because that's where I've had a few roadblocks along there, or brick walls. It has been on my mother's. So my mother's parents, I had a hard time finding information on them. Mostly my great grandmother, I really had difficulty finding a lot of information on her. I knew who she was. I met her in my life. I know where she died. I know where she lives, she wasn't able to be found in any records. So I really had a hard time confirming who her parentage was. And part of that was because I knew what her maiden name was, I knew what her sister's name was, but part of it, I didn't know any other information, and I was actually able to, I lucked upon a person that was really able to help me quite a bit dig into it. But the big key that once we started digging into it and finding the possibilities, this past summer last year, my grandmother, who had just actually passed away at the age of 99, back in April, I was cleaning out her house with my mom, and I came across an old photo, and it said grandfather and Daniel, and that was it was grandfather Donald and Uncle Daniel, and that fit into who I was pretty sure was going to be the family line, but that just confirmed it. So let's see here. So your family goes back to Iona, Scotland, and you're able to get back. Yeah, that's I've had some. I actually have one line I've been able to trace back to 950 roughly, and that is really just luck, because once I got to a certain point, it became connected to people. There was a lot of recorded history too. One of my father's mother's ancestors married into a family that was connected to nobility and eventually royalty in England, and there was a lot written about them. So once I was able to confirm that connection to that one person, the information just flowed, and you were able to really confirm that. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Ruth. Yeah, I don't want to say it wasn't a surprise. She had been actually pretty healthy, lived in her home until just over a year before she passed away. So let's see here. So you also have from the original Landry and LeBlanc from Port Royal. Oh, really? That's really interesting. Actually, right following this, I have a live premiere of a video. It's going at 25 to the hour, and it's specifically in regards to a story, a really fascinating story of a gentleman I just met in the last week with Acadian roots, going back to Port Royal. It's just actually a smaller version of what will eventually be a very long version video, almost documentary. There was so much great information. Let me see here. So I think you stick around. You will probably enjoy seeing that. This here live stream actually basically will cut over as soon as I'm ended. It's going to cut over, and if you stay on here, it will bring you over to that video as it gets ready to do. So just looking here. So when you further this with full confidence, back to 1400. It's actually, it's not hard sometimes when you get there. Getting your full line is quite difficult. One of the first videos I did on YouTube actually was because of this line, and I was showing how I'm related to Henry III. He's my 25th great grandfather. Now, when you get to the point you have 25, your fifth great grandparents, there's over 12 million of them. So 6 million and some 25th great grandmothers, and the same amount great grandfathers. There was less than 12 million people living, at least that's the estimate of in the population of all the British Isles at that point. So tracing my roots back to the British Isles and knowing they'd been there for a while, at that point, you're bound to be related to them. In fact, his son, the reason I found out I was related to him, it was actually, I first connected with one of his sons, Edmund, who was my 24th great grandfather. His brother, his father's Henry III, his brother is Edward Longshanks. Might be familiar with that name if you ever watched Braveheart. He's the evil British king who wanted to doing the Scottish nation. So the interesting thing about that is when I actually started searching, I was even able to get some more off that same line. I found that not only was Edward Longshanks would have been my 24th great granduncle, he was actually a 24th great grandfather, which is, again, just as I was able to even get back farther and make different connections, it's bound to be there. And I'm sure Henry III was probably my 25th great grandfather on more than one connecting line. If I was, because there's at least two there from the two brothers. So you're bound to get those if you know it. Yeah, there's always some crossover. It's especially in populations, island populations, and not even islands. You've got to think anywhere there's immigrant populations. What do immigrants do even today? They tend to settle in communities of people from the same area. It's a very common thing. Two brothers moved to an area, they immigrated years ago. So down the line, those communities are made up of them and a few other families, that might not be related. You're going to get people eventually married in and cousins and, cousins multiple times even, just depending how many generations there are. So it's not uncommon. So is there any particular questions there that any of you have for me, whether it be on DNA or just general questions? So this is the video that will be coming up in a few minutes. Ruth, just one second. There's two new comments here. Let me see here. Yeah. Burning element, what you really need to do is actually start trying to trace those. Start looking. I know we talked a little offline there the other day. Find where you can narrow down if there's a side of your family you know for sure. Get those matches that are in your DNA tests and actually sort of dig into them, and then find the people that you can't find any common matches for that you know of and know a specific side, and you'll be able to sort of start triangulating them and narrowing things down. Yeah, everybody will probably find some ability if, from that European, if they dig hard enough, because even if you have to go back to the Vikings, and what is nobility. So you're gonna find them. Also, I was, from tracing my line, I'm also related to, like I said, Edward Longshanks, also William Wallace through, not William Wallace himself, but his wife. So you're gonna make those strange connections, and you're going to meet them if you can trace back far enough and trace with certainty. Like I'm, whenever I have a couple of different family trees I work on my own, but the one that I consider my official one, before I actually add the person to that, move them from my sort of investigating family tree, and I've add them in there. I want to make sure I check the records, and it took me a while to verify that record on my dad's fifth great grandmother and where they were married in. Once he was able to confirm that, there was so much other records that were confirmed, and I knew that I was talking about the right person. Yeah, French Canadians. There's a really good example of a lot of homogeneity. It happens. So let's see. We have 2 minutes of that other video, so I'm gonna just get ready as that gets ready to roll. So if there's no further questions, what you guys can do, you can definitely continue this conversation in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate it. Like this video, share it with people. This will go on, and I do keep these live streams will go up and stay there on my channel. And they tend to be a great resource that people visit again. Endogamous. Yeah, I sorry, I was saying hegeronomy. I always pronounce the word wrong. Basically, it's that small population that you're marrying. Okay, so I'm going to end this stream now, and you should be taken over to my my latest video as it comes out. I chat to you over there. There'll be a live chat with that as well.